All right. Today's rest day, and I'm stretching. Oh, bruh. Broke my dog tags. That's nuts. But, yeah, pretty much stretching something I've been horrible with. Uh, but I really gotta do it more. And I keep telling myself that, but I never do. I really be like that. I mean, part of it is because not suck at it. I don't know. Like, maybe it's the lack of not knowing really what to do. Like, I know how to stretch and, like, how to stretch my muscles. Like, stretching is the opposite of your flex. So, whatever you can do to get the best contraction, you do the opposite to get the deepest stretch, I guess. Like, triceps, you bring them, like, well, back here to flex them. So, you do the opposite to stretch them, kind of. And then, yeah, like your back, it's work like this, or different parts. So you do the opposite to stretch them. But like, everyone kind of knows. So, it's nothing crazy. But I think stretching's even more important for me because I have suffered some injuries, not drastic ones that are obviously why I'm still not really stretching, or I stretch for some time and then I stop because, you know, it's not as bad. It's more culpable. But like I said, or I've mentioned, or if I haven't mentioned it before, I think I had a partial tear in my left hamstring and then a partial tear in my right quad. And the hamstring was from sprinting, and the right quad was from wrestling. And then both of them I've done twice. So first time from sprinting, then while I was injured still from playing basketball. And I think for both of those for that time, it was because I think I was wearing shorts, not shorts. I was wearing pants, and I was doing athletics in pants, and I hadn't properly warmed up. And then for my right quad, it's the same thing. I had it warmed up, and I started wrestling. So like I had been sitting down for multiple hours. So one thing I know that you can really do is opposed to. I don't think I tore my quad. I think I just tore my hip flexor. Because it's not really in the quad, it's more in the hip flexor slash groin area. But it only makes these areas even more tight. And then to combat that, I should be stretching. But like I said, I'm not the best when it comes to doing that. Especially like right now, my left hamstring is super tight. But I also feel that I don't worry about not necessarily doing enough stretching yet. Oh, like I feel that eventually I'll get it down. Just I don't know. I can't make excuse like I don't have enough time or anything like that. Like it's the same old anything. It's the same old stuff for anything. Like you make for the time for the things that you actually will do and all that stuff. So some may see like, yo, how can you like go to the gym almost every day, but you can't do something as simple as stretching? I feel like some things are just easier to come by for some people, or even at least for me. Going to the gym has become it's no longer a discipline thing, it's more so a habit. And it's not a habit I'm building or a habit I'm even like nurturing. It's just one that's a part of me at this point. Just like how some people, most people, a lot of people, like brushing your teeth isn't something you have to consciously do every day. You just end up doing it because you always plan to do it and you don't end your day without doing it at least once. So for me, that's working out. I work out wake up and know if I'm going to work out. And if I'm going to work out, I'm going to work out. Like, and most things aren't really going to stop me from doing that. Unless it's a really strange day. But that's not to say, like, I build my life around working out. It's just, to me, it's like brushing my teeth. It's like regular physical maintenance. But funny enough, brushing my teeth is actually something that I have to consciously do. So I have to be like, oh yes, time to brush my teeth and go do it. So like I'm more likely to not brush my teeth than I am to not go to the gym. But now when it comes to stretching, it's like I'm not likely to do this at all. To the point where if people ask me if I stretch, I pretty much just say I don't stretch. Like I have periods of times where I lock in and do it regularly enough, but that doesn't last for long. I think a part of that is just haven't developed a real like schedule or way of going about it to make sure that I do stretch. Nor do I have a solid routine. So all of that just makes it more complex. And also stretching is kind of boring. You know, I could stretch and watch something. I don't know. We could stretch and watch something. That's not even a good excuse. It's just, I don't know, it's just not as fun as exercising. But if I did stuff like yoga, that'd be better. But I'm just not a stretcher. Maybe it could really just be that stretching is more uncomfortable for me than working out. That might actually be it. Like, I can barely hold some of these positions for very long, especially when I'm very sore. Like my legs are pretty sore right now. Doing anything for more than 2 seconds is just uncomfortable. So that could really be it. Stretching is just really uncomfortable, and I don't like it. And it's not like working out where like you instantly feel some kind of rush or you feel better. Like stretching out, you might feel loosened, but you don't necessarily feel better. It's not like an instant relief. It's more of a, I don't know. It's more so something that helps you like in the long term. While when you work out, you just get a nice pump almost automatically. And you feel like the blood in the muscles and all that. So that could aid to it. This stretch kind of like stretches your quads, your hips. And also if I put my hands down like this and turn my like arms out, it can stretch my biceps too. Even my chest a little bit, but I can't get my shoulder far back enough to stretch the chest. So, but I think that might be what I have to do. The stretches that stretch multiple parts of the body instead of just one or two at a time. Because I think that's when I no longer really want to do them. But yeah, stretching is important, like, especially for me, since there's already a lot of things that I don't do. Like, I'm not the very best about eating. I maybe eat twice a day, and usually in the later afternoon. And then I don't sleep very much. I get about 4 to 6 hours, and then if I nap, maybe it'll get up to like 7. But that's not always the case. And then nutrition wise, like, I don't really track that. I don't really track my calories. So I'm not sure where I stand there, and like it's not enough sleep. So if I want to aid in my recovery, stretching is one of the few things that I probably should do. I do try to get a lot of water in, but then that varies day by day. But I think most days I am very good about that. And that might be one of the few things that like save me. But I think I'm kind of stretching my chest now. I planted my arm and I kind of turn my body away from my shoulder. Get a nice stretch on the chest. Almost like I'm doing a pec deck, but it's staying right here. But I don't know. Like, I did say that I'm not worried about not having the habit of stretching yet, because I think it's something that I will definitely develop eventually. So I'm not too worried about it. And I guess that's an odd way of looking at it, since it's almost like I'm procrastinating stretching, but not just the act itself, but I'm procrastinating me making it something I do regularly, because I think I'm gonna do it regularly eventually. But that's kind of how I see it. So I kind of have, but really I just have hope that I will eventually have it down, right? It's not gonna be something that I'm always unable to do or always don't do. Because I think stretching is really important. Like, it's almost important to me, not mentally, but it's almost as important to me as in my motivation for stretching is almost as important as my motivation for working out. And that's like because of, I guess, like I mentioned, anime and like fighting and stuff. So all these characters aren't just strong and fast, but they're also usually pretty flexible. And they take care of their bodies in other ways than just training and eating. So I would like to be able to get to the point where I can do a split, where I can like kick with my foot above my head. Obviously, that's probably not something that I'll be able to do unless I like really dedicate a lot of training to that, because that's really advanced. But it's stuff like that. Like, I have aspirations that I want to get better at being. I want to improve my flexibility. But like most things that people want, do you really want them? Like, you want them bad enough that you would actually do what it takes for it? Or you want it in the sense that if you could snap your fingers and make it happen, you would do that. And then of course there are levels of want. I'm somewhere between snap my fingers and make it happen and do whatever it takes. I'm not at the do whatever it takes yet. I'm more so just do as convenient or do as I feel like it. And I feel like that is the case for a lot of people when it comes to working out. Like, you just kind of do it when you feel. And nothing's wrong with that. The only issue is, I mean, there's still benefits that, like, if you do a workout, I'm pretty sure it's a good way to relieve stress, get some endorphins, lowers cortisol. Like, it's a good activity to have, and you still burn calories from that day. But to see any progress only comes with consistency and then, like, also tracking. So to see any progress, you have to do it consistently. Even if it's not very long, it would have to be it'd have to be at least regularly. So where was I going with that? I don't even know. I was talking about like stretching and how it relates to other people going to the gym. But yeah, so I may not even see actual improvements overall based on how regularly I do it, but maybe one of these days, the first day I stretch will be the first day of many other days. But you can't have a day one if you don't start one day, right? So every time I at least try to stretch, that could be the day that I consistently stretch. So, but instead of stretching every day, I guess, I can make a deal with myself to just stretch on certain days. So I guess starting with this, stretching on rest days is a pretty good way to do it. That's why I'm kind of recording, so I'm knocking up two birds with one stone. And it's also giving me a reason to stretch because I do want to record videos and make them. Also, it could be a good way that, I'm being held accountable by not just myself, but also by the audience. Because it's like, if you're not recording yourself stretching, that means you're not stretching. And I kind of like not being a fraud. I like setting things to do and doing them. So I know oftentimes that leads me to not deciding to do something, because I know if I set myself to do, I'll do it. And if it's something inconvenient like stretching, then I'll just avoid making it a goal or actually setting it in stone. But I think that I've kind of avoided it enough. How many minutes are we at? 15. Yeah, I've avoided it enough. Like, I don't stretch everything. I should at the very least stretch my legs. Because I've yet to injure my upper body. I had to say you want to wait till you get injured before you start stretching. I've yet to injure my upper body. And I injured my legs. I've injured my legs like 4 times in the last year. I was about to say 2 years, but not even. 4 times in the last year. So, of course, nothing crazy. I guess, injuries is very common when you're an athlete. I like to say that, injuries are a badge of honor. And, well, it depends. Let's not get too crazy. But injuries can be a badge of honor, I should say. And that they're not something that, stop you outright. And in order to get injured, you have to lead a lifestyle that gets you injured. If you're just walking up the stairs and you hurt yourself going up the stairs, that's kind of like, oh wow, that's nuts. It's kind of sad. But if you're physically active and that's how you injure yourself, it's almost like having battle scars. Not that you want scars, but I think there's something cool in leading a life that can lead to injury. Life has to have risk. But it's dumb of us to increase the risks that our hobbies or pastimes bring. And me by not stretching, and by me not stretching, I'm certainly increasing that risk. And I'm well aware of that. But, laziness gets the best of us. Complacency, being content. I don't want to have a devastating injury before I really start stretching, because I've injured myself. You'd think that'd be enough, but it's not enough. After a few weeks of actually stretching, right? Taking some ibuprofen and then doing a few exercises here and there that I think will help rehabilitate. I stopped because I'm like, okay, it's not perfect, but it's functional, So it's really easy to get complacent. If you start working out regularly, it's like, oh, here I am now. I got some muscles. I can stop. Or something like that. It's really hard to keep going. Consistency is the hardest part of a lot of these things. Once you've locked that in, once you've made it habitual, then honestly, the sky's the limit. Because once you've made something a habit, you'll become a master of it eventually. Because you'll just have so much time in that you'll have, I don't want to say no choice to get better. You also have to increase intensity. I heard it put to me once that a normal person, an everyday person that drives every day they won't get as good as a race car driver just because they drive every day. Like there's like the 10,000 hours rule or the 1,000 hours rule. Like after 1,000 hours, you become a master. But after 1,000 hours of driving, you don't become a master. But it has to be you slowly kind of bringing these full back, stretching yourself, getting a little bit more uncomfortable, doing something a little bit more difficult, a little bit more challenging. Honestly, progressively overloading this bit by bit. And that's what allows you to become like a master and to improve. So you can't get complacent, sadly, because once you stop doing enough to see change, like that's when you usually stop doing something because you're not seeing any change. You're like, oh, what's the point? So you got to kind of ramp things up most of the time. You got to change or be left behind because the whole world is changing every day. If you stay in one place, you get left. That's what I've been taught. So I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point. Like I guess the longer I record, the more I'll keep stretching. So I'll just go for 9 more minutes. Like at this point, I'm not really sure what I'm stretching. Just making sure that I get every part of my leg. Get the glutes, hamstrings, quads. My upper body feels fine. Maybe I'll stretch my back a bit more. But that's about it. My abs are also very sore too. I trained abs for the first time in a long time. When I was hitting legs. Afterwards, we did like an ab day. So yeah, I'll drop a video about some ab workouts or ab exercises because I know I know nowadays people kind of use the machines. But that was never something I really did. I never really used ab machines. I can't say I've never really used. I didn't use ab machines when I was training abs. I just did it regularly for at least 5 minutes. Like we would do the follow-along ab videos. I started off with AbRec for X in like 3rd grade, and then coming to middle school, and like I would just do like a lot of crunches, a lot of sit-ups, a lot of leg raises, and then by high school, I had leg raises or knee raises on the pull-up bar in high school. And then I started doing just random videos that Jeff Cavalier would make for like 6 minutes, 7 minute, 5 minute, 8 minute follow-on ab workout. So I just do one of those every day. Because I fully believe that like to be an athlete, you have to have a strong core. And I think it's helped me a lot. My core is very strong. That's why a lot of the times when I'm deadlifting or squatting, I don't wear a weight belt, even if I'm going for PR. So I've never had never hurt my back at all. So I think that's honestly helped a lot. My obliques are so sore. And then my actual abs are too. My legs are looking very vascular. I kind of want to show them, no Diddy. Hold on. Like, I don't know if the lighting is there. I don't know if that's visible. Yeah, the veins were like popping all over them. Thought that was just cool. Hold on. It's easier here to see. But yeah, the veins were popping. That's about it. Man, keep stretching. See, this left one is super tight. Like, it's crazy. And I think every time you tear something, the shape of it doesn't really go back to the same before you tore it. So I feel like I can feel the difference between my hamstrings. And there's also a difference between my quads now. I think the swelling never quite goes away. Or the way it recovers. I don't know. some dynamic stretches to kind of get through the sticking points. See, I can like touch my toes and like almost put my knuckles on the ground or my hands on the ground almost. So I'm not super unflexible, but I can't like do this. I can't do that. I can barely touch my shoulder. I can like touch it with my fingers. Or, yeah. I can't really do like the front squat position. Couldn't really do that. So, I'm very far away from my goal of being very flexible. My lower body is definitely more flexible than my upper body. So I've definitely gotten and stretched my legs more than my upper body. I don't know. Stretch my abs a bit. What is this called? The downward dog. Or no, this is child's pose. Yeah. I remember in 9th grade, I used to not be able to touch my toes at all, despite being like fairly in shape and being skinny. That's because I never stretched my hamstrings and everything was just tight. But eventually I improved. I think the biggest thing is that I kind of just need to make stretching into my routine. So it used to be that after every leg day, we would stay at the gym and we'd stretch. But that quickly fell apart. So I started doing it on rest days a little bit. Or just whenever I felt sore. Like right now. So I'm trying to go on a run tomorrow before I hit legs. And that's probably gonna suck. Seeing how sore my legs still are. But hopefully after some sleep, it shouldn't be as bad. And after I run, I'll head back. I decided maybe I should run on my back days, because if like my back suffers because I ran beforehand, I want to run beforehand because I actually want to improve my running as opposed to just do cardio. I'm gonna shoot for about 5 miles, but I haven't ran over like 2.5 in a minute, so we'll see how that goes. But I'll just take it slowly. This is part of the stuff I mentioned in my other video, but a lot of y'all didn't watch that one. Or I guess, not that no one watched it. It's more so there wasn't much time spent on it if it was watched. So I'm not sure if it was heard. I'll reiterate it. But I took a test to see how fast I could run for my 2 mile. I just did not do very well, despite doing running. So if the running I'm doing is not giving me a result that I want, then of course I gotta ramp things up, or there'd be no point in running. So I'm gonna try that out and see how it goes. But I'm already at 29, so I'll cut the video here. And maybe I'll stretch a little bit more while I watch an anime. So that's really all. I'll take it easy.